An autonomous agent means an agent can take action on their own without a human telling it, okay, now go do this thing. The rate of change, I think, is what's changing as well. So we're seeing new models being released like very often now. It's not once a year, it's every couple of months. This idea of multi-agent, and that is where more than one agent can kind of work on the same problem with the same kind of context. So that's been a really, really big change.
We've got Jennifer Geraghty Ryan, Principal Product Manager at Microsoft, focused in AI agents. Jennifer, thank you very much for coming in and meeting us in person for the podcast series.
Thanks, happy to be here.
So last year we were talking about the wonderful work that you were doing in AI agents, and you've been starting up some new adventures as well in Microsoft. Tell us more.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was with you last time, I was talking about the private preview program that I was running at Microsoft. And this was like an early access program for autonomous agents at Microsoft. And I'm sure most people know what that is by now, but just to recap, an autonomous agent is an agent that is kicked off by some event in a downstream system, or it could be like a recurring kind of kickoff. So instead of kind of like a Copilot, like side chat, where you're waiting for a chat and then you respond, an autonomous agent means an agent can take action on their own without a human telling it, okay, now go do this thing. So I ran the early access program for that, was working really closely with our early access customers. Since then, we've taken that product from private preview in May to public preview in November and to general availability inside of Copilot Studio, Microsoft's agent building platform, in March. And I was just talking to you there about a new team that I'm a part of inside of Microsoft, and we're looking at AI governance kind of across different platforms.
So it's kind of hard to fathom, and you'll probably know better than I do, particularly on scale, how big agentic AI and AI agents in the last kind of 12 to 18 months has come. Where if you were around a few years ago, you wouldn't be talking about agentic AI. You were just getting your head around this ChatGPT kind of lark. So what are some of the things that agentic AI can do that people don't necessarily know about that they can actually do? And maybe if we talk about some of the Build 2025 announcements, just to kind of refresh, because there's so much things going on at the moment, but it'd be good just to kind of talk through some of that.
Yeah, I think what you said there around, like, you wouldn't have been talking about this a few years ago. The rate of change, I think, is what's changing as well. So we're seeing new models being released like very often now. It's not once a year, it's every couple of months. I think the other really big thing, and maybe I'm a little biased because I worked on this, but at Microsoft Build this year, we announced multi-agent in Copilot Studio. We're also adding multi-agent into a bunch of different platforms at Microsoft, but that was the one that I worked on. And that is the ability for agents to work together. So this time last year, we were talking about one agent. So one LLM orchestrator, one model, one set of agent instructions and actions that the agent can take. One set of like triggers. So triggers are the events that like set the agents going, that make them autonomous. A really, really big change is this idea of multi-agent. And that is where more than one agent can kind of work on the same problem with the same kind of context. So that's been a really, really big change. I think the other kind of big one is the researcher agent that people will have access to now inside of Copilot. And that's the ability to kind of do like deep research thinking. So it's a little bit slower. It's not like as fast of a response as you saw with Copilot before. But what it does is it does a lot more reasoning over the inputs. So I think that's another really big change.
I think the research analysis one came out kind of April, May kind of timeframe. So is that the case of where I go and ask it to do some research on our competitors, for example, and then it comes back with the analysis and creates like a document that you could then read and review, and it's gone and done this autonomously for you?
Yeah, and it takes a little bit longer. It's using some models that are doing a lot more reasoning and kind of self-checking over the inputs. And I think a big kind of change that you'll see there is in the past, you'd ask Copilot a question and you kind of wait for it to respond. It wouldn't take that long. It'd be like having a conversation with a human. But now you kind of could set the research agent going on some problem and then you go away and work on something else and you can come back and see what's happening. Another really big change that I think is a really positive change and something that I am very passionate about is this agents are starting to really output their thought processes or like their their chain of thought,
Yeah.
like their reasoning. So like, I'm doing this thing because I got this input,
And
or
it's
I've looked at
actively
this thing.
communicating
You
that
can
to
see,
you.
yeah, you
it's
can
kind
see
of
what's
talking you
happening.
through its thought process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important because we need to build trust with agents. And you do need, for responsible AI, you need the ability for a human to have oversight.
Yeah.
And the best way to have oversight is to actually see exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And it does kind of allow you to step in then and say, actually, no, that's not quite right. Or you can understand, okay, it referenced this citation, this piece of information.
Yeah,
So
and I kind of work off the basis that a really well-defined question, you're kind of coming up with the problem, you're kind of solving the problem halfway because you're actually really putting into thought into the question. And I love when you see the thought process, chain of thought, that is actually kind of defining the problem a little bit closer, and then it sometimes comes back and go, here's my problem definition. Am I right?
Is that right?
Is that right or wrong? And then you can kind of take a go, actually, I didn't think of it like that. Maybe yes it is, or maybe no, just try to iterate a little bit more. So I do think that's really helpful because it does give you more confidence, but also it does help you confirm in your head, should you even be working on that problem? Because this is how it's kind of defining for you. So in that situation, where is it grabbing its data? Is it the web? Would it be the data source that you actually kind of hand into us from your SharePoint or something like that? Or is it a mixture of the above? Or?
Yeah, I didn't work personally on the researcher agent, but it does look at the web, and it also references your Microsoft data that you have access to.
Yeah.
So obviously it would respect the kind of policies that are on the data internally, but that is a big differentiator for the research agent, is that it's looking at your work information.
Yeah.
So like for me, if I have a Teams recording or a set of slides or something like that, the researcher agent would have access to that information to show it back to me as part of its response.
And then we had GitHub Copilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that was huge.
That's a big one. I think that's exciting for me. So I'm a product manager at Microsoft. I'm not writing code, but I do see my engineers, when I see their pull requests, they will have been reviewed by agents, and sometimes they will write agents. There are certain things that like obviously agents are really good at. So like one thing that we're seeing is if you write like an SDK, for example, for one language, like maybe Python, an agent is actually pretty good at like translating that to another coding language. It's good at catching things like accessibility issues. It's good at writing tests. So that's been really exciting. I think we're just going to see it getting better.
Yeah, because coders hate writing tests. They hate documenting the code. So it's doing a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, it can automate
right?
some of the stuff that's tedious.
Yeah.
And let people focus on the more kind of interesting parts of their job. Same with me with product management. Like, I know some people will use it to start a document from scratch. I like that part of things.
Yeah.
I like framing, so I will start it from scratch myself. But then AI is really, really good at, you know what I hate doing is coming up with demo scripts, like fake scenarios, like fake product names and people names and stuff like that. So like it's really, really good at that kind of thing.
So I was... so I'm doing this 4-part series out of Microsoft HQ. It's kind of people, process, product, perspective.
Yeah.
And I did a session on product. And I kind of came up with the ideas. So we did a few live demos, which are not particularly good for your heart if you want to do it 100 people in a room. But one of them was, right, come up with, here's the product, here's the demo, this is what we've created. Now let's create a synthetic focus group to give us feedback in real time. Here's the different demographics. Let's see what it comes back with. Here's the input. Here's the survey results. So we had all that insights and intel that we could then actually look at and go, okay, we now need to pivot based on this type of feedback. What would you recommend based on that information? And the nuanced answers and insights you were getting from all these different demographics was just blow your mind. They were so personal to those different personas. And then you could take that information and go, okay, we've got 20 customers, real customers. Let's go show them the demo. Let's get their feedback. And then I showed all the survey results back that we got from them. We could do an interactive chart and spot some key insights that we could then take on to then bring a product to market. Like it saved so much time.
Yeah.
And that was just like a kind of a demo that we came up. We were doing it for food waste and how we could roll out this app to allow people in restaurants to cut down on the 30% of food waste that was there.
Yeah.
And we had this workable app that we could put into production by the end of it, and it was 60 minutes. literally from idea to using all these different types of area. What was interesting though, although we use 4 or 5 different products, we could have just used one, which was Copilot, but act as if you're different personas, different Microsoft Forms or whatever. We could have done the same with ChatGPT or Claude. Like, it's getting to that stage where you probably don't need the other tools. It's that good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 things that I think are really interesting there. The first one is something that I've definitely done as well, and that's like when, as a product manager, I often have to jump into a new area, especially because I'm working on a AI building platform. So it's not like an AI for a specific use case. So I'll often, especially like with the private preview program, you know, we had some use cases that were legal, some use cases that were finance, insurance, like every type of use case. And you have to get on a call with this customer and talk through maybe an area that you're not familiar with. So I found AI really, really good to learn very kind of top level information about a certain area, and it's very good at helping with personas. You still need to do the research with people to learn about their processes and what they're doing, because obviously the information that's embedded in the LLMs is from the internet. It might be out of date, it might be relevant to your
of course,
people that you're selling the product to, but definitely can help you get up to like a basic level of knowledge and use the right terminology to resonate with people.
Yeah, because we were thinking it as a way to spitball the idea that it's a little bit further. Then you don't do a complete car crash test dummy with your customers, because you've at least kind of got their insights to give them more area. But yeah, it's really, really helpful.
There's another part of that I think is really, really interesting. And then so we have talked a lot about like real-time learning from human feedback, like RLHF. Sometimes people will say that. There's something else that I'm seeing a lot, and it's like real-time learning from AI feedback. And that is, you'll have your agent or your model that's doing something, and then you'll have a bunch of other models kind of like supervising it or giving it feedback. And you can kind of integrate that into the responses. And I think that's like a really, really interesting area that we're seeing.
So it's kind of like that real-time insights.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like you have your agent that's doing something, but then you have other agents kind of looking out for different aspects. So this was one thing I saw, it was a proof of concept during the early access program. We had a customer that was kind of, they were just, it was just a proof of concept, but they had one agent whose job it was to argue for one result, and another agent who was kind of arguing for another result, and then a kind of a judge agent to be the arbiter, like the end decision maker. And they got like really good feedback from that. So
it blows my mind that only 5% of our listeners actually subscribe to the podcast. We've got one favor to ask. Please, can you subscribe to the podcast? If you like our content, you subscribing will make a huge difference to the guests that we can get on the show, and also be a voice for AI applied across Ireland, but doing it the right way. Now back to the show. You've got the agent debating and giving you different perspectives, different nuances, while one's taking the different approach, which is really like life, right? Because everyone's got difference of opinions, everyone's got different, and they're all valid. And then you're weighing up, you come up with such a better solution.
Yeah, you get like a more rounded perspective on something.
So much more rounded. Yeah. And I always kind of think of how I would use it as having this kind of like kind of community of elders who are like my marketing manager, my finance director, my accounts person. And I throw out ideas and go, here's my plan, what you think? And then I get their different inputs. Like, it's such a mind game when you use your phones, but you act as if you're the marketing person, and you bring them into the room and they're chatting and talking. And as an exercise, I believe you get so much input to come up with a solution a lot quicker. And then you can obviously train that data based on the person to give you even more insights. But for so many people, they just don't see the opportunity yet. So they're living in a...
The tools are changing so quickly, though. Yeah, I can understand that. Like, I think it's not something that everyone is using yet. And some people are using it. There's a big disparity in terms of like people really throwing themselves into the tools, the whole way to kind of people, maybe their company doesn't give them access to AI, or they just haven't found a way to adopt it yet. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Yeah,
because we could see why we all jumped into Microsoft Teams, because it was so helpful during COVID, which you couldn't use without it. But now, because people have got so many different tools and it's kind of catching up, you probably just want to steer them to say, you work in finance, here's 3 use cases you can use for it. just continue down this value and you will see the benefits. But I suppose it's kind of like everything. How do you get started?
Yeah, and I think one thing that works really well is just like talking to your coworkers. But just for me, like talking to other product managers at Microsoft, like, oh, what are you using it for?
Yeah.
Which tool are you using? What's your prompt? Like, let's take a look at it.
Yes.
And like one thing that I feel like anybody can kind of get started with, like there's a lot of tools available out there online. I don't need to tell people where to go, but like writing a prompt. And you talked a little bit about this as well. Like a lot of it is writing a good prompt.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this advice came from, but I think it's really good. It's like tell the LLM like you are. It's like role playing. Like you are this person. So you are a marketing expert. Like who are they? And then give them context on the problem.
Yeah.
Like I want you to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a little bit of like this one thing is important. So like it's important that you blah, blah, blah. And then once they give a response, like give feedback. Like you're not going to get it in the first shot.
So important to
say
give
like,
the
oh, that's
feedback.
a bit casual. Or, oh, I hope you could dig into this idea a little bit more. Or
And that's where I always say to people, when there's opportunity to like or not like, press the button and give some feedback because you're teaching it. Same way as like with a person or a friend, you would give them the feedback to know that they're actually getting better rather than just expecting it.
Yeah.
So the framework that I use is similar to what you just said there. So it's persona, act as if.
Yeah.
Context, this is the kind of context.
Yeah.
And then the command is the command of what I want you to do.
I want this thing.
Yeah. And then the format is how you want this. Is it going to be an executive summary? Is it going to PDF? Or is it that kind of outcome? So it's kind of having that golden thread. But there is also the simpler way too that you can just say, I want this outcome. Help me create a perfect prompt to generate this outcome.
Yeah.
And then you're working it. But either way, you're working with the AI rather than just saying, give me the solution and I want X. You're working with it
and like
to try
try
to go
again
on the
if you
journey.
don't get it the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny how the expectations go really high, even though it's still so new? People are like, oh, it's not working. Or it's taking too long. And you're like thinking...
Well, it's not there yet. Like it's still, we're still at the start.
But some people's expectations are thinking, oh, it's broken or it's only worked 75%. And you're like, well, 2 years ago, we only just got ChatGPT. Now we're at this level of an agent is now going to do this, this, and this for you. Are you ever going to be happy? like, how do you balance that? Or like, in some way...
I think everybody needs to find their own way of working with it. And like I said, like there are certain things that I really enjoy doing. And I know there are some other people on my team that like hate doing some of the stuff that I really like doing. And they'll use AI for it.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like I think AI can bring... if there's something that you just don't like doing or that you're maybe not as proficient at, or like I mentioned, you don't have certain knowledge, AI can bring people up to kind of a base level.
Yeah.
And we're also using the term AI very, very generally.
It's very, very,
very generally.
Like people would be surprised to know there's more to AI than just generative AI.
Yeah. And even like, I think what we're going to see is products are all integrating LLMs into their tools. So you're going to have really like specific, like one that I absolutely love, and I'm not just saying this because I work at Microsoft, but the recap in Microsoft Teams is great.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So when you have a Teams call and you have recorded it or even just transcribed, automatically Teams will generate a recap of the meeting. And if you're on a lot of meetings, which I am,
and this is giving you the
helpful.
kind of key insights, next best
Here's
actions.
what happened.
Yeah.
Here are the actions. And you can talk with Copilot and say, you know, what was this person's opinion on our proposal?
It's an amazing feature.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I don't think people are using this enough is using Microsoft Teams to record yourself doing a workflow. So you record it doing the workflow. You talk through what you're doing at each click, what you're doing in that case. Get your 4 colleagues to record the same workflow. Take the transcripts for the workflow, put it into Copilot and say, create me an SOP based on these workflows that's really effective.
Yeah.
And then taking that information and then asking it to put it into a flow chart that's optimal. And now you've just improved your SOP. Now, what usually happens is the Copilot will come back and say to you, I've got 5 additional questions that I want each of your users to answer with your nuanced feedback. You'll have then the best possible standard operating procedure of that workflow done. And what you can do now with Copilot is you can put a video of you doing that exact part of the workflow for a newbie to watch it. So let's say you're pressing that click or you're doing that extra prompt. you can click into that and it shows you 10 seconds of you doing that. It's an incredible way to manage
I've used Teams for that. Yeah, for writing like demo scripts or sharing with your colleagues how to do, like for documentation. It's really, really good. And the one in Teams can put in screenshots as well. And
the screen, exactly.
Fantastic.
So you got the screenshots. So you got the screenshots, you got the workflow, and then you got little videos. And what I'd say to people is, yes, AI is amazing for content creation. But why don't you do your standard operating procedure, your process first, get it really streamlined. So then if you've got newbies coming in, you've got that tacit knowledge available for them to learn really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And I love this kind of the GPTs or the Microsoft versions is where it's like, what would Mark do? So 100 frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
Mark answers them. Mark goes on holidays for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't contact Mark. What would Mark do? And then you would be surprised at how effective, well, you won't be surprised, but everyone else would be surprised at how effective it is for a really good holiday handover. That you spend the time doing your holiday handover as a GPT and then you share that.
You share that.
As well. Because I'm walking around and people have got it all in their heads. And I'm thinking, guys, drop the rock, put it into your second CEO brain, and you're just going to have a better business.
Yeah, I've seen there's a few tools online. I can't remember the name of one of them. I think Elena, she's a growth product manager on LinkedIn, shared something recently where you can go to a website and talk with her. And it's an AI that's trained on all of the publicly available information she has about like talks that she's given and things like that. But it's cool. Like it's very interesting.
It's really helpful. And then the more where like a small business would use it is, let's say someone's coming up for retirement. That person is the person who knows everything about the business. They've got all that tacit knowledge. A wonderful way to get that information down and start to have that tacit information that they can learn and grow from the whole kind of perspective. So I think there's going to be more and more use cases that people will find out and start to share.
Yeah. Maybe there's something that you mentioned there that kind of reminded me of one of the things we announced at Build, which was the computer use agent. I worked with the team that was building that. And one of the things that AI is really, really, really good at, and you mentioned it earlier, it's writing instructions for computers. So Power Automate has been around for years.
Yeah.
AI is really good at creating Power Automate workflows. The computer use agent is, it has this kind of AI recorder where you go in and you can show it a process. You know, you're clicking the buttons and it will put together that workflow and it's able to actually then use that as an action at runtime. So if you think of something like the researcher combined with the computer use agent, once these agents start working together, I think they're going to be able to do a lot more things.
Yeah, it's exciting. Jennifer, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At AI Ireland, we're helping over 1 million people become literate using artificial intelligence. And we do this in a variety of different ways. The easiest way is our AI literacy program, where we do a 60 to 90 minute program via virtual Zoom or Microsoft Teams, where we teach the rules of the road of AI from basic business concepts to ethical and resourceful decisions on how you actually use AI every day. This is our literacy foundation. The second way we use AI training is within our workshops. These are either virtual or in-person workshops where executive leaders come and use some of the AI tools that we make available for them, that they can actually start to take their own documents and reimagine savings of time and energy, but taking away friction from the work that they do each day. Later on, we actually empower different departments, HR, finance, sales, marketing, operations, and start to utilize AI across relevant use cases to upskill their different types of departments. If you're interested and ready to go on your AI journey, we'll be able to showcase over 700 applications of applied AI about how you can actually stop reinventing the wheel and start using AI for your organization today. If you want to start out and find out a little bit about the golden thread of activities that we've got to allow you to start to utilize AI straight away, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll give you a good comprehensive overview about the arts of the possible, minus the hype, purely applied. See you then.